Welcome back. Now, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria will today hear arguments on an urgent application that was filed by civil society group AfriForum against the Minister of the Department of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga. AfriForum's urgent court application seeks to overturn the decision by the department to not publish the 2021 National Senior Certificate results on various media platforms, as has been the tradition previously. Now, the organization will be joined by Maroela Media and Anlé Spies to fight the department's decision, with the hope that the court will arrive at a different conclusion before the results are made available on Thursday. CEO of AfriForum Kallie Kriel joins us now for a discussion on this. Kallie, good morning and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you, ma'am, and it's great speaking to you.
So why did AfriForum make this urgent court application to oppose the Department of Basic Education's decision not to publish the 2021 matric results? The department, of course, stating that this is, of course, in line with the POPI Act.
Well, we believe that the publication of these results are in favor of many stakeholders. And of course, we support the protection of private information, but personal information. But we know that if you go and look at what is publicized, it's only an exam number and is not an identifiable person that is published. You need to have that number to identify the person. So we believe the publication, as it has been done over the last few years, is not in contravention of the POPI Act. When we say it's in favor of many stakeholders, we believe it's in favor of learners. We've moved forward already. Initially, the department said that the results were only going to be available at schools. On Sunday, they announced that they have an electronic platform, which makes it more accessible already. But we believe the more points you can get access, the better. Of course, I see with my own two children that have already written matric, these results publicized, it acts actually as a motivation, because if you're in a lower grade and the hype about the matric results, you always want your results published in that way. And it also has sentimental value. You keep the newspaper. We still have those newspapers here. But I think also just as important is for the media. We know that especially print media has a problem at the moment, the lowering of sales of newspapers. And the matric results is one day in the year when we also give an input to the media. And the media plays an important role, and we have to make sure that we protect also the media. But of course, also the electronic media will be favored by that. So we believe it's in the interest of all stakeholders, and because it's not against the POPI Act, there's no reason why it should not be published.
So the department, of course, in giving the reasons about complying with the Protection of Information Act, also says that this includes the right to privacy, Mr. Kriel. And they also say that they, as the department, are bound by the Constitution to act in the best interest of the child. So do you believe that those are cogent reasons for their decision, or how do you argue against it?
Well, if it was based on the right interpretation of the law, then those reasons would, of course, be valid. We need to protect the personal information of people. We need to make sure that we act within the framework of the law. But we think that specific interpretation is wrong. If the names of people were published, then that would be accurate. But it's only the exam number. And I can tell you, I didn't even know my own children's exam number, and they could only give it to me when I asked. So the information is within the control of the learner. They can decide who will have that number, and so their personal information is being protected. But what we are happy about is that we've also moved forward in a sense that the department, and as well as the information regulator, said to our legal team over the weekend that they are not going to oppose our application and that they will abide by whatever the court says. So it's actually good for both the department, the information regulator, and for learners that we need to get clarity from the court today, and let's hope for the best. We, of course, still have to convince the judge. We believe we have a strong case, but one can never beforehand say what the judgment will be, but we hope for the matriculants that we will indeed be successful.
Indeed. And Mr. Kriel, the department has also announced that the results will be available on the department's website. Do you believe that that is good enough or not, in your view?
Well, it's a step in the right direction. As I've said initially, the letter that went out to schools did not mention that. It said that it was going to be available at schools. One of the problems we had was that one of the matriculant that is also part of the case is not in her hometown when the results are being made available. So she would not have been able to have access. So the fact that it's going to be available electronically, of course, then is a step in the right direction. But then it means anybody that has the matric examination number can go onto that system and get the result. So then there's no clear reason, because if you're going to say the exam number opens your personal information and people will be able to identify that, then it nullifies the argument that it would infringe on the POPI Act. But we are happy about the fact that it's going to be available electronically, but we believe it should also be available then on electronic media and, of course, also the print media.
So just finally, Mr. Kriel, so if your application fails and the department wins, as it were, that would mean that these matric exam results will not be published as was traditionally the case. What sort of harm would that do in terms of breaking with tradition? How will that necessarily impact learners and their families?
Well, I think in the first place, it will reduce the annunciation of the results just to another day in the year. And I think the hype that was created by the publication of it created also this image with young people that this is simply not just another task you have in your life. It's a milestone. It is something big. It's something that there's a hype about. And we need to motivate our young people to work harder. If they want to be successful one day, they need to study hard to the best of their ability. And therefore, we must give the matric results the place it needs on our national calendar. And it needs to be in the newspapers. You need to see those children that have done well. They can be role models for younger learners that are still coming through the pipeline. And, that remains something big. And it would be unfortunate if that is not available. It will not be the end of the world, but we believe it's unnecessary. Of course, apart from the matric results, it's also a sense that you get into a society where we are over-regulated. We know that personal information needs to be regulated, but we should not go overboard in cases like this, where it's really not personal information if you just simply publish an exam number.
So just finally, Mr. Kriel, what time are we getting underway in court this morning?
Yes, sorry, you're welcome to call me Kallie. I was a teacher once, but they called me Mister, but that's a long time ago. Now, the court case in the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria starts at 9 o'clock this morning in Court 4C. But of course, it depends on the judge, how it will be heard, and when we can expect the judgment. It would be great if we can have it today, because we know the media also has to do some preparations to be able to publish the matric results.
Indeed. And of course, no doubt you'll be a busy man today following that court proceeding. So we certainly will be calling you again later on. Thanks so much for your time this morning. AfriForum CEO Kallie Kriel talking about the organization's urgent court application, which of course seeks to overturn the decision by the Department of Basic Education to not publish the 2021 matric results on various media platforms. Now, the department argues that they are doing this in order to comply with the Act with regard to the protection of personal information. And the court case will be heard today. This is, of course, ahead of the issuing of those results on Thursday. But, of course, we will keep you up to speed with those developments. Stay with us here on SABC News.